Oh my God. Man down. Oh man, it's so hot in my car. The sticky ring came off. It just gave up. So I'm currently on my way to a 1:30 p.m. session of Exorcist Believer. Once I'm out, I'm going to do a quick out of the theater reaction and also a little review in my car because Chloe's working from home today. She's got a shitload of meetings today, and the last thing she needs is hearing me in the background babble on about it being a lovely day for an exorcism. So I will see you guys on the other side. And after seeing what I'm seeing on social media today, may God have mercy on us all. All right, so that was a movie. So before I get into the thick of the review, let me just state my history with the original Exorcist. Like I've said ad nauseum in a lot of videos, I was very late to the game. I saw the very first Exorcist for the first time back in 2014. You know, I'm in my mid-20s. And in terms of what I thought of it, it scared the absolute shit out of me. It was so damn effective. I thought it was going to be boring. Again, I was in my mid-20s. I thought I definitely missed the mark. Just how simplistic and dramatic the horror elements were. The writing of Father Karras and the way he's questioning his religion after the death of his mother, and then the beautiful performance and amazing performance by Linda Blair as Reagan. And obviously we've got Ellen Burstyn, who is returning for Exorcist Believer. So just got out of Exorcist Believer, which is a direct sequel to the original Exorcist film. Now, in terms of what I thought, it completely missed the mark, guys. And I don't take pleasure in saying that. This is definitely a film I was hyped for, like really hyped for. Like I just stated about the original Exorcist, it still affects me to this day. I just love how simplistic it is. And when it was announced that Blumhouse was going to be teaming up with David Gordon Green, Danny McBride, and they're going to be doing a direct sequel, and including Ellen Burstyn coming back as Chris McNeil, I thought this is great. Look, they are kind of cashing in on the legacy character tropes, whether it be your Jamie Lee Curtis's, your Nev Campbell's, and it's pretty big shoes to fill. When you're making a direct sequel to one of the greatest horror movies of all time, it's no pressure at all. But we had Peter Sattler, David Gordon Green, and Scott Teems in the writer's chairs. We also had a story credit by Danny McBride. Now, in terms of a basic premise of this film, two girls disappear into the woods and return 3 days later with no memory of what happened to them. And the father of one of the girls seeks out Chris McNeil, the legacy character from the first Exorcist film, who's been forever altered by what happened to her daughter 50 years ago. So yes, it has been 50 years since the original Exorcist film. It's crazy. Now, before I get into the nitty-gritty, let me talk about the things I liked in the film. In terms of the acting, there wasn't really a bad apple in the bunch. Like, everyone gave a pretty solid performances, but my two standout performances in the film were that of Lydia Jewett and Olivia Markham as Angela and Catherine, the two girls that go missing in the film. The pair of them just look like they're having the time of their lives, and paired with Christopher Nelson's beautiful makeup design. Christopher Nelson is returning to work with David Gordon Green once again after Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends. And it just seems like the girls are in Playland, but like a satanic Playland candy shop. It just looks absolutely incredible with the makeup and their performances, and it just looks like they're having the time of their lives. So those two were definitely the stand-up performances with me. And perfect segue, Christopher Nelson's makeup design. Christopher Nelson is back with his crew, and he does an incredible job with the makeup of the girls and some other makeups seen throughout the film, especially some gore makeups for that matter. There are subtle hints and flashes of the demon in the film, which is a nice little throwback to the original Exorcist, where we saw flashes of Pazuzu, but I feel the original flashes of Pazuzu from the first film were a lot more effective because it relied on not jump scares, but just silence and getting you relaxed, and then boom, you get a flash of Pazuzu and it scares the shit out of you. Whereas this, the flashes of the demon are paired with a lot of booming sound design and when action scenes are happening, and it's just not as effective as the first one. There are some nice little pan-ins and pan-ins past characters, which is paying homage to the original. There were those abrupt kind of pan-ins and just made you feel uneasy from the first one. I really like that. And they carried that over a few instances in Believer. Now, my gripes. The story and pacing just feel like way too late for the time we live in now. I think too much time has passed for this to be considered a direct sequel. I mean, it's been 50 years. The film tries way too hard to do the slow burn and the atmospheric horror, but because of how modern the time setting is, it just misses the mark. And yeah, I'm comparing it a lot to the first one because it's a direct sequel. If you're going to do a direct sequel, It's got to have the feeling. It's, as Dave McRae would say, it's got to look like it, it's got to smell like it, it's got to taste like it. Granted, if this storyline was attempted, say, 5 or 10 years after the original film, I think it absolutely could have been more effective and definitely hit the mark. And look, I can see what David Gordon Green and the cast and the crew were aiming for. I think the original Exorcist will never be topped, nor will it have anything on par with its effectiveness, its timeless effectiveness for that matter. And we've still got 2 more films to go in the David Gordon Green trilogy. We have another David Gordon Green trilogy of another famous horror IP, can you believe it? Obviously we've got Believer, next year we've got Deceiver, and then eventually we're getting Exorcist, Can't Wait to Meet Her. And there's way too much telling and not enough showing this time around. It's missing that subdued suspense that the original had. And it's a formula that hasn't really been repeated, and I don't think it ever will. In terms of Ellen Bernstein's appearance as Chris McNeil, it is minute. Thank you, Motorbike. And it just feels very shoehorned in. Granted, and this is not a spoiler, the second last shot in the film got me. It got me good. It hooked me in for a couple of seconds, and I nearly teared up. Well done. So guys, in the end, Believer to me just felt like a run-of-the-mill exorcism film that you'd see on streaming. Not a direct sequel to one of the greatest horror films of all time, and I take no pleasure in saying that. And don't get me wrong, you always want a film to succeed, but when you are supposed to be a direct sequel to one of the greatest horror films of all time, the bar is set really high. So guys, with that being said, I'm gonna be giving Exorcist Believer 2 Pazuzu. Oh my God, man down! Oh man, it's so hot in my car. The sticky ring came off, it just gave up. So with that being said, guys, I'm gonna be giving Exorcist Believer 2 Pazuzus out of 5. I think that's the devil's way of telling me that they don't like my review. Guys, once you've seen Exorcist Believer, drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts. Again, I had real high hopes for this one. Next 2 installments are gonna be very interesting times. Love you guts, and I'll catch you in the next one.